We're just giving a little bit of time just for everyone else to jump on. Oh yeah, looks like the audience view is at 100%. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, we'll go ahead and get started then. Hey everyone, welcome to today's webinar. My name is Michael, and today's topic we'll walk through how to set up your outgoing emails in Business Central. So really our agenda for today is we'll start off by walking through some of your setup and configuration involved with getting your outgoing email accounts started. And then the second half, we'll walk through some examples of composing and sending out your emails, as well as setting up um, your environment to automate your outgoing emails and client-facing documents. So we'll go ahead and get started here. So in BC, there's a pretty useful tool that BC offers. It's called your assisted setup. And so if I just search for that and navigate over to my assisted setup page, like I said, it's a tool that BC offers that's great for especially when you're first getting started with BC. This tool kind of details all of your key or standard setups within Business Central. So it's a good guided tool to set up some of your different processes and functionalities that may be relative to your different business processes. So within your assisted setup, you'll see that it's kind of broken into several different categories. And so if we take a look at this first category called set up your company, you'll see some standard setups that might be important to your business, such as setting up your sales tax, entering your company details, and so on. What we'll be walking through together today is under this category, getting ready for your invoicing. More specifically, setting up your outgoing emails. You'll see a description of each of these guided setups that BC offers, and you'll notice that under the completed column, our setup outgoing email is already checkmarked. But I'll go ahead and run it again for today's webinar. So if I go ahead and click on setup outgoing email, it's going to give me this notification basically just stating that I've already completed this setup, but I'll go ahead and just run it again. And we'll be presented with our setup email window here. So you'll see just your standard message, your privacy notice. And so we'll go ahead and get started going through this setup guide for our email. So I'll hit next. And you'll be presented with essentially three options here. Your first option for setting up your email account is using a Microsoft 365 mailbox. And your Microsoft 365 mailbox is essentially just setting up a centralized mailbox in which all of your emails will be sent from within BC, right? So you can set up a 365 mailbox for AR, for AP, and so on, right? Your second option here is current user. If we choose to set up email through current user, that's basically just stating that all emails will be sent from the current user that is logged in. So for example, if I create and post a sales invoice and I choose to email it out because I'm logged in through my current user, that invoice or whatever document you send to the customer will be sent through your user email address. And then your last option, of course, is just to set up your SMTP and send emails through that method. So for today's purpose, we'll go ahead and just select current user. And so I'll select that and go ahead and hit next here. And again, if when selecting current user, you'll see this message pop up here. Everyone will send email messages from their own email account. And so we'll hit next. And that's pretty much it for your email account setup. You'll get a notification saying congratulations that your email has been successfully added. And then you'll see the email address details here. So you can see my current email has just been added to BC. And just to verify that the setup did get done correctly, we can send a test email before we finish. So I'll go ahead and just click on send test email, choose my email address and hit OK. And then you'll get a notification showing that your test email has been sent to that specific email address. And so I'll just pull up my email here, and you can see here we can go ahead and verify that the email account was set up correctly, and you can see that the test email message has been sent over. Okay. And so we'll click finish here. And so once you've completed your email account setup, again, if you want to verify further, you can navigate to your email account page, and you can see a list of all email accounts that have been set up. And you'll see here through our current user method, you can see that I've gone ahead and completed my email address setup within BC. Okay. So the next thing here, before we get into setting up your customers to automate your outgoing emails and outgoing client-facing documents, I wanted to show that you can also manually compose an email from BC as well, if ever needed. So if I just go into my search bar one more time and type in compose an email, we can navigate to this task here, which will allow us to basically put together an email and send it out to any customer or client that might be needed, right? So in our compose an email page, you'll see, because my email account has already been sent out, my from email address will automatically populate with my email. And then you can specify your to email address. Just for this example, I'll go ahead and just send another email to myself. And just like composing an email from your actual Microsoft 365 account, you can specify a subject here. I'll just call this test email. And then down below is where you can actually compose or populate your email body. So again, I'll just type in maybe test email message here. Composing an email from BC will also still give you the option to add any files or attachments that you might need. So you can simply click on add files, and then you can drag and drop or click here to browse your computer files. So once you've completed filling in your email, putting in your to email address, your subject, and your email body, and then of course any attachments, you can go ahead and hit send email. And that email address will be sent straight to the two users' email address. And just to confirm, I did receive that email, and you can see the body here with test email message. So again, once you set up your outgoing emails, you will also have the option to manually compose any emails directly from Business Central as well. Okay. And so the last part here of our webinar is I wanted to show just a few quick tips here that we can configure within the customer card to try to automate our outgoing client-facing documents, such as your invoices, your statements, and so on, right? So I'll navigate here to my customers list. And then I'll just drill into one of our customer cards. So we'll drill into a Datum Corporation, for example. And within your customer card, of course, you'll see all of your standard fields here, but there is a additional page that you can drill into. So if I go into the ribbon, select customer and document layouts, we can set up our report layouts for our different outgoing documents that we may need to send or email to a customer, right? So if we're looking at it just starting from the left here, so you'll see your usage column, and under your usage is okay. This is where you can specify what document are we trying to set up or automate for this customer. So you have your quote, sales order confirmation, your invoices, and so on. So for this first line, we have invoice selected. The next column that you need to specify is your report ID. So there are tons and tons of different report layouts within Business Central that are offered by default, right? So you'll want to specify the report ID that you want to use for your invoice. And so once we specify here ID 1306, it'll pull in that report name. The next step is to specify the customer email address that you want to automate the sending of these documents to. So in this example, you can see I've just filled it in with my email address, but here is where you would want to specify the customer's email address. You can also fill your send to email with multiple email addresses if necessary. To do that, you would just need to separate the email address by a semicolon. So you can see my first one, and then maybe I can type in like testemail.com, right? So if you have multiple email addresses that certain documents need to be sent out to, you can separate them by semicolon here. Okay. And then you can see, just for another example, the second line is set up for our customer statements. You can see the report ID, report name, and then the send to email address is also populated for this customer. Okay, for this example, we'll walk through posting and sending an invoice. So once you have that set up, one more thing that I want to quickly show is there is an additional field here called, and it's again still within your customer card, it's called your document sending profile. This is just a useful option to set up if you want to automate the sending of the email once you post a document. So for example, when you're creating a sales order or a sales invoice and that invoice is ready to be posted, you could simply hit post and send. It'll pick up your document sending profile as well as the specific send to emails within your document layouts, and it'll automatically send that email over to the customer without you manually having to do it. And so just real quick, I'll drill into this document sending profile that I've already set up for email. And so if I drill into that, you can see I've given it a code and description, but the sending options is, you can see this is where I've set up our automatic email sending. So under your email field, I have this setting set to yes. I do still have BC configured to prompt for the settings, just so that I can verify and confirm that the email looks good. You could set your setting to yes, and it'll automatically just use the default settings that we have set up in the background without an additional pop-up. Okay, and so that's your document sending profile, and we do have that attached to our Datum Corporation customer. So we'll walk through a quick example here. So I'll create a sales invoice, for example, and we'll go ahead and just create a brand new invoice and quickly populate that. And so we've done all of our setup for a Datum Corporation. So I'll select a Datum Corporation, and I'll quickly just fill in a sales line here. We'll do a GL account, for example. And maybe for this example, we can do post to our rent account. Okay. And quantity of 1, and we'll do a rent amount of 1,500, for example. And so I'm just quickly scrolling down, just making sure that all of my other information is correct. And so at this point, your sales invoice is ready to be posted. And so here's an example of how sending your outgoing emails and outgoing documents will look, right? So we can go ahead and hit this drop down, click on post and send. You'll get this pop-up window along with posting the invoice in BC. You'll get this notification asking if you want to send the related document as well. And then based off of our document sending profile, you can see that's automatically set to email. And so I'll hit yes. It'll post a document as well as you'll see here shortly that our email window will also pop up. So you can see based off of all of our previous setups, my from user email address will automatically populate. The to email address will automatically populate again based off of the send to email that I specified in the customer card. And then based on the report layout that we selected for our invoice, your subject will automatically fill in with a default email body message as well. So you'll see your specific invoice, the total, and then you can see this default email message will also include the due date and an early payment discount as well. And then further down below, you'll see automatically your sales invoice will be included as an attachment. Once we've confirmed everything looks good, we can go ahead and hit send email. And just to confirm that we received the email, you can see here the invoice that we just emailed over to my own email. So you'll see your email message here along with the sales invoice that's attached. And then we can also go ahead and just open this invoice and take a look at it as well. And so this invoice will reflect the report layout that we have selected here. Okay. So that was everything for today's webinar. So we walked through setup and configuration of your outgoing email account, as well as setting up your customer to automate your outgoing documents. And then we also just finished off with walking through an example of creating, posting an invoice and emailing that invoice out to the customer. With that, we do have a minute left. I would like to go ahead and just open the floor up to any questions that anyone may have. Okay. If no one has any questions, we can go ahead and end the webinar here. All right. Thanks, everyone.